wanker spankers at ESPN want you to know they are very, very upset with the NHL. And it's not because of the abysmal ratings the NHL provided ESPN during the regular season and playoffs. ESPN didn't mind those ratings. They were doing just fine with the NBA. Until the NBA Finals, of course, which was once again a huge embarrassing failure. The wanker spankers at ESPN, they have not been triggered by something that the NHL has said publicly. To be honest with you, I doubt they'd even notice. ESPN pays about as much attention to the NHL as they do to the WNBA. ESPN claims to be the exclusive home to pretend basketball. They claim to be the home to the NHL. Sometime this winter, I want you to check out ESPN.com. Check the site every day for about a week. You tell me how many times you see the NHL on the front page. You tell me how many times you see the NHL listed under the category of top headlines, major stories. If the NHL does make it there, they only last for about an hour. Point is, ESPN rarely promotes the National Hockey League. They might not pay attention to the WNBA, but at least they promote the dump. I could not make it through a game during the NBA playoffs without being exposed to bearded women bouncing off a trampoline to dunk their balls. The NHL, they don't receive this same level of promotion from the worldwide leader in woke. But for some reason, the last 24 hours, the NHL has remained as one of the leading stories at ESPN. Last Thursday, the NHL announced they were banning all specialty jerseys from pregame warmups. They want all players in the league wearing league-approved clothing during pregame warmups. Now, just to be clear, let me explain what this means. No more wearing pink shirts during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The handful of black players in the league, they are no longer allowed to wear pregame jerseys promoting Black History Month. If an NHL player has a family member in the military, they are no longer allowed to honor them by wearing a jersey during pregame warmups. Hispanic Heritage Night? No pregame jerseys allowed. This is an outright ban across the board. Now, I know a lot of you guys have emailed me over the last few days wanting me to cover this story on the NHL. There was a reason that I wanted to wait. I wanted to see if there was going to be any outrage from any of these other groups. I wanted to see if cancer survivors were going to be outraged with the NHL's decision. I wanted to see if Horacio was going to be outraged that his favorite NHL player couldn't wear the warm-up jersey that he designed for him. It's been 5 days now, 5 days, since the NHL made this public announcement. There has not been one example of outrage from any of these groups. Yet for some reason, the identifiers collecting woke welfare from ESPN, they have decided to express their fake outrage. This is outrageous! How dare the National Hockey League ban players from expressing their pride? Clearly, ESPN has not been paying any attention to the NHL this season. The league didn't need to step up and ban players from expressing their love of Wiener. The players, they took it upon themselves. It seemed like every week during the regular season, another NHL player was refusing to come out for pregame warmups. They didn't want to be associated with the rainbow. Now, there were various reasons for this. Some players had religious reasons. Others just didn't feel comfortable doing it. Most players, they didn't show their love of the pride because they have a love for the women. They didn't want to support a lifestyle that they didn't live themselves. One of the lead NHL reporters at ESPN is a male birthing person named Gary Wyshynski. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name. I just don't give a fuck. Proper name pronunciation, that is a privilege that is earned here on the channel. The representative of the G's at ESPN, he wants you to know the G's are mad, real mad. I thought hockey was for everyone. It is obvious the NHL doesn't like gay people. Gary G claims that this ban by the NHL is hurting the people who benefited the most. Who benefited the most from this? I damn sure know who did not benefit from it, the NHL. If the NHL was able to monetize the pride, they would keep doing it. Hard truth is, pride is bad for business. This time last summer, The NHL was riding high. Ratings for the regular season and the playoffs, highest they've been in years. This past season, it was the complete opposite. Playoff ratings were absolutely atrocious. If you remove 2020 and 2021, the 2 years Fauci fucked America, the 2023 Stanley Cup Finals, least watched since 2007. And back in 2007, the finals, they aired on Versus. As I was reading this article on ESPN, I kept wondering who Gary G was talking about that is negatively affected by this ban from the NHL. In a rare case of journalism from ESPN, Gary G interviewed several artists and designers that designed these rainbow jerseys for NHL players. Oh God, this will have a huge impact on my business. Emphasis on huge. Normally, I love huge things, but this is one of those rare instances where huge is working towards my detriment. Oh. I feel so bad for these people. The NHL's cut off their woke welfare, and now they're going to have to do what normal people do when a revenue stream dries up. Go get a job. Gary G interviewed a handful of people who were absolutely outraged with this decision by the NHL. It was typical ESPN propaganda. They framed the narrative that because this small group of people are outraged, everyone is outraged. But the truth is, no one gives a shit. Normal people don't care that the NHL bans specialty pregame jerseys. The players damn sure don't care. The only people that care are the woke welfare collectors and the shitfucks at ESPN. Gary G also claimed that this ban doesn't only affect the LGBT, it also affects other people who belong to marginalized groups. There's that word again, marginalized. For starters, how does the removal of rainbows affect other marginalized groups? We'll never know because ESPN doesn't explain it. But let me get back to that word, marginalized. I cannot stand that word. And if I was personally put into one of these groups by the woke media, I would hate the word even more. How is a male birthing person marginalized because he has an affinity for the cucumber? How's a black man marginalized because he has more melanin than I do? I don't get it. Who is marginalizing these people? I thought the narrative that ESPN was pushing in this article was rather interesting because 2 years ago, if the NHL had implemented this same ban, you know what the headlines would be throughout the mainstream media? Every single woke media outlet, they would have accused the NHL of mythical racism. The hockey league filled with evil white man has banned the victimized black man from celebrating Black History Month. That is the narrative the media would have promoted. They would point to player demographics in the NHL, they would point to fan demographics and claim the NHL's guilty of mythical racism. But you see, mythical racism, that doesn't sell anymore. It's no longer cool to promote mythical racism. Normal people have rejected it. They know it's bullshit. The new fad in the mainstream media is promoting the pride. Instead of ESPN framing the narrative around mythical racism, they use the exact same tactics and push the false notion that the NHL is homophobic. Last week, NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, he was asked why he was implementing this ban. His response was telling because it was a subtle jab at the mainstream media, even if that wasn't his true intention. And to be fair, I doubt that was his intention. Gary Bettman said he was banning specialty jerseys because they had become a distraction. Let me translate that for you because 99% of these specialty jerseys, they were not distracting. I don't remember the outrage because an NHL player wore a pink shirt for Women's History Month. I don't remember the outrage during Black History Month. The only jerseys that became a distraction were the rainbow jerseys. And the only reason they became a distraction is because the mainstream media wouldn't shut the hell up about it. Every time a player refused to wear the rainbow jersey, the media just couldn't let it go. The mainstream media seemed to forget all season that the NHL is a professional hockey league. It's not a celebration of wiener. The leading story in the NHL this past season had nothing to do with hockey. Biggest story this season in the NHL, the gay pride. But I do have some good news for identifiers who choose to celebrate woke Christmas throughout the year instead of just celebrating during its designated month in June. Gary Bettman, He wants you to know hockey is still for everyone. The NHL will continue to proudly host our legendary Pride Night celebrations. Buy your rainbow tickets, wear your rainbow pants. Just don't show up pregame warmups because you will be disappointed. For the starving artists who have been relying on woke welfare from the NHL the last few years, Gary Bettman got some good news for you too. They can still design rainbow jerseys, they can still design pride-themed clothing. The NHL's not going to buy it, but they can still design it. Instead of the NHL buying these fashionable items, they're going to allow these starving artists to participate in auctions inside the arena, where fans can bid on this overpriced garbage with the items going to the highest bidder. My inside sources tell me WNBA dump divers, they have already started saving their pennies. They are anticipating a bidding war amongst dump divers, but the problem is WNBA players, they're making minimum wage. These artists, they can't feed their families collecting money from minimum wage earners. They're going to have to rely on NHL fans to buy their pride-themed clothing. Good luck with that. I tell you what should be auctioned off, though. They should be auctioning off airtime on ESPN because their current programming lineup is absolutely horrific. But this just goes to show you, when it comes to the Pride, your compliance, it's not requested. Your compliance, it is demanded. It is mandatory. The NHL, they didn't ban Pride Night celebrations. They banned Pride jerseys along with every other themed jersey. But ESPN wants to pretend like it's homophobia. ESPN wants to pretend like it's a slight against the LGBT community. They are never going to stop pushing the pride down your throat. I think the NHL right here, I think the NHL is trying to appease both sides. This is a virtue signal to normal people. The NHL wants us to think that they are distancing themselves from the pride. We will see if that's actually the case, but we've already seen what happens recently when organizations try to appease both sides. They end up pissing everyone off. But what do you think? Is the NHL trying to please both sides here? Also, anyone surprised by ESPN publishing nothing but lies and propaganda about the NHL, a league that is supposedly one of their most important broadcast partners? Give me your thoughts. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, kc_btl84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.